Hi there everyone, my name is Misty. Thank you so much for joining me. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my journey on Spravato. So before we get into this video, I'm just going to let you know that I am not a doctor. So my experience is my experience. Make sure you reach out to your therapist or psychiatrist, someone that can possibly help you with what this is and what it does. And yeah, so like I said, this is just my experience with it. And yeah, so if you follow me already, then you've probably already heard most of this, but I thought it was important to share kind of my journey, what I think about it, etc. So Spravato is a drug, an intervention for medicine-resistant depression. So I've mentioned before that 2023 was a very hard year for me. I struggled going through genetic testing and just getting gaslit by doctors left and right. And like in November of 2023, I just kept talking with my therapist about how I was so ready for 2024. And I thought 2024, like, it's going to be better. I'm so excited. I know we're just turning over a day in the calendar, but it's going to be fantastic. And then January 4th, I ended up in the hospital and my brain went, done. Completely apathetic to everyone and everything. I literally did not care. And I've said before that I didn't care because I am the type of person who does care. Like, I am very much the type of person who always cares about people and things, etc. So to be a complete 180 from that, to be completely apathetic to everything and everyone was terrifying, like terrifying. So when I saw my psychiatrist back in October of 2023, he mentioned possibly switching medication. So at the time I was on 450 milligrams of Wellbutrin, bupropion. And at that moment in time where I was personally, I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. I said, I don't find that I'm in the right headspace to be cognizant of side effects, etc. And I don't want to do something permanent because I wasn't aware or more conscious of a side effect of a medication. So I started my kind of depression journey on Lexapro. I was on Lexapro for an entire year. That was in 2016, and it helped until it didn't. And I noticed that at that point I'd gone completely apathetic too. Like I didn't feel anything. Like I didn't feel happiness, sadness, anger. I felt absolutely nothing whatsoever. It was just kind of like a robot going through life. And so I went and saw my doctor, and at that time it was my primary care physician who was prescribing my medication. And so we moved to Cymbalta. Well, 3 months later I went and saw him. I was like, can't do that one. It's like, nope, can't do that one, because I was literally sitting on my couch making plans. And I was like, this is not the one. So he put me on Wellbutrin. So I believe you start at 150 and then move up. So I did 150, then we did the 300, and then I eventually moved to 150. And I think I've been on Wellbutrin now, or bupropion, since 2018. So I have a lot of other health issues. I'm type 2 diabetic. I have a disease called CVID, common variable immunodeficiency. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I have FSHD, which is a form of muscular dystrophy. And those last few I learned about last year going through genetic testing. So I had been dealing with health issues since October 2016. And post kind of starting depression meds, like January 2016 is when I really realized, oh, this is depression. Like the very first time in my life I actually knew and felt like, okay, I'm depressed. Like this is something we've got to fix. So I spent the last 7-8 years of my life trying to get answers, trying to figure out what's wrong with me. I had to leave my job. I've been on immune suppression therapy since September of 2017. I had to have back surgery. Like I need like a C2 to T2 fusion because I have a lot of compression on my spinal cord. So I have a lot of other issues going on. And last fall was probably one of the hardest years of my life. I was going through all of this genetic testing, finding out all these answers, still getting gaslit by doctors, and just having a hard time getting anybody to hear the words coming out of my mouth. I don't know how else to describe that. And like I said, I was working with a therapist, and she was like, "You're being so resilient. You're being so resilient. I admire your resilience." Like, it was all about being resilient. And I was just like, I don't want to be resilient anymore. And I've said that more than one occasion. Like, I'm tired, exhausted. I'm ready for 2024 to be a much better year. And like I said, we get into 2024, and on the 4th day of January, I'm at the hospital because I'm in the worst nerve pain of my life. And that was the very first time in all of this that I've ever gone to the hospital specifically for pain help. Like, please help me with my pain. And at that time, I picked Toradol and a steroid. And the doctor was like, "You don't want morphine?" I was like, "No, can I just have Toradol and steroid?" I was like, "I don't want anything too much because I don't want to be labeled someone who goes to the hospital seeking pills or whatever like that." And that's a whole other conversation for a different day. But anyway, so it was like that just being in the hospital. And that was my first time in the hospital since August of 2022. And I wasn't admitted, but I was there. And that really just kind of shut things, like my brain went into protection mode, and it just shut down. Like, that whole feeling side of my brain was just gone. And so I was feeling, like I said, really apathetic, and I just didn't care. And I was just kind of going through the motions. And so when I saw my psychiatrist in February, I was like, "I'm ready to switch meds." And he's like, he's like, "We bumped you up." Oh, that was right. So last October, he bumped me up to 600 milligrams of bupropion, which is off. I don't remember what they call it. It's off script, off note. I don't remember. But because the highest is 450, but he put me on 600. And I did feel like it was maintaining where I was at last fall. And then that switch flipped in January, and it was like, okay, this is not working. And he was like, "I still feel like the Wellbutrin is working." He said, "But I feel like we can add an intervention to help." So he mentioned the brain thing where they put the leads on your brain and they zap it or whatever. I mean, I'm sure it's more technical than that, but that's what I got from it. Then there was Spravato, which is an inhalant, and then there is an infusion. And he said most of the time that infusion is what you get when you are admitted like into a hospital for depression, etc. So he said a lot of times insurance is not going to cover the infusion, but it may cover Spravato. So Spravato is an inhalant, as I mentioned. Ketamine is one of the medicines in it. I will try to remember to leave a link to like the Spravato website for you guys down below. So basically it is again, inhalant. It's like a nose spray, and it is supposed to help heal the brain. They have actually studied this medication and have shown that this medication can help heal the parts of the brain that have been damaged by depression, etc. And so but it's one that has to be administered by the care of a physician and with a nurse, because it literally is like goes straight to your brain. Like, it doesn't even go into your bloodstream. It literally goes up your nostrils to your brain. And the effect is pretty immediate. So how it works is you have different dosage. So you start at 56 milligrams, maybe 34 milligrams. So for 4 weeks, you do 2 doses a week. So I think I started late March. And then after that, you can bump up to another. So the first week, I think we did 34, and then we bumped up to 56. And then after 1 month, you switch to 1 a week for 4 weeks, and then you go into maintenance. So I did really well at 56, and then we went to 84, and all bets were off. I was like, I literally, if you've ever had vertigo or altitude sickness, it was like that. And I was just throwing up the whole entire time I was there. And so we did it for 3 times. And on that 3rd time, she's like, "We can go back down to 56. This is the nurse." And I said, "I think we need to go back down to 56. And at this point, I had already started noticing a difference in my mood and in how I was interacting with people and my husband and just the environment around me, I already felt like things were making a difference. So that was like, I would say mid-April, late April is when we switched. And then I was moving to, was moving to maintenance, and I ended up in the hospital with double pneumonia RSV. So I had missed 2 weeks of it. And so when I went back, I did have a little bit of nausea, but nothing like I had when I moved up to 84. And she was like, do you want to try bumping up again? And I said, no, this is working at this dose, and the side effects are just not worth it. So you may or may not be able to handle a higher dose. So those first couple of doses, I just remember being, it's kind of like it can be like a psychedelic drug, like a mushroom or something like that. You can literally trip on this. I haven't tripped on this, and I wouldn't even, maybe I am and I wouldn't even know because I've never tried anything like that before. But for me, the first 2 months, the whole 2 hours, because I'm there 2 hours. So it's like you do puffs and then you wait 5 minutes and you do another dose. And then they, kind of leave me alone and they check my vitals every 15 minutes. In the first probably 8 weeks of that, I slept the entire 2 hours I was there. I would put on some headphones and this was at my kind of the office of my therapy group, like the group of people who my therapist is under and my psychiatrist is under. So I go to the office and I would I would sleep for 2 hours. And then as I've been on maintenance, I immediately get dizzy and have to close my eyes. And I normally just close my eyes and kind of rest for about an hour. And then after that, I'm able to get on my phone, see things clearly, like those kinds of things. I will say that the last 3 times I have gone, I've started seeing, when my eyes are closed, I see blobs in x-ray. I don't know how else to describe it. So I will see a ball or just blobby things moving behind my eyes, but they're kind of in that kind of x-ray look. And so that's been new, but I don't feel like I've experienced any other side effects from that. So I've been doing maintenance now probably since June, and we were doing every other week. And then I believe in August I switched to every 2 weeks. And now I'm up to every 3 weeks. And I think probably after the first of the year, I will try to bump that out to every 4. And they have some patients who go once or twice a year. So you have to continue it. It's not something that you can stop. It's something that you're going to have to commit to. But after those first 2-3 months, your commitment lessens. You know what I mean? It's because I can't drive. So my husband was having to drive me 9 miles to get there and then 9 miles to bring me home. So that for us was a huge inconvenience. But at the end of the day, it was whatever makes you feel better, we need to do. So the drug affects everybody differently. Some people, like I said, really freak out or trip or whatever. And I don't feel like I've ever had that issue. I started noticing a real difference about the 6th or 7th week mark. I kind of felt not like a fog was lifted, but just my brain was starting to come back online. That's the only way I can describe it. And so I started having feelings again. And the first feeling was sadness, and I was sad for weeks and weeks. And I remember I just got finished and I was in the bathroom and the owner of the group came in and she's like, are you the one on Spravato? And I was like, yeah. She's like, how's it going? And I said, well, I've started feeling again. And I said, and now I have to process feelings. She's like, it's been trying to be sad and process feelings again has been difficult, but I feel that was kind of the turning point. So they give me a scale, these questions, and you kind of rate what you're feeling, how you're feeling. The only thing that hasn't moved for me is sex. When it comes to sex, I kind of went into 2023 like feeling completely asexual. And I think once you live in chronic pain, and in August of 2022 through December 2022, I was in the type of pain that was like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Like, do I really want to be here? Is this really worth it? Like, is life worth it to live in this amount of pain? It was that level of pain. Like, if it's somebody else's 10, it was a 20 for me. I mean, I called it DEFCON red. It was the worst pain of my life. And that January, I started on the very highest dose of a nerve pain medication. It's Lyrica, but I'm on pregabalin, which is the generic. And so, I lost my train of thought. Jesus, Mary and Josephina. Where was I going with that? I don't remember. God damn it, Misty. Oh, the sex part. Ugh. So I think anyone in that intense amount of pain, the last thing on your mind is sexual gratification, getting off, whatever. Like I didn't want to be touched. I still, like, I will cuddle and be affectionate with my husband, but he and I have talked about, like, if it's like I can't handle anything that feels like it might lead to sex. Like, and that is the only thing that hasn't really moved as far as everything else. Like everything else, like I don't cry as often, I don't feel sad as often, like I'm not struggling as much in other areas because of this Spravato. But the one thing that hasn't really gotten taken away is that sexual aspect of it, which sucks. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's just from living in a high level of pain. And when you live with such a high level of pain, and the parts of you that are in pain are directly affected by having sex, I think that's just that's where that kind of comes from. It's just like an aversion that has made me feel asexual, because I just don't feel anything. I don't feel attraction to other people. Like I told my husband, like, this was the hardest conversation I've ever had with my husband. And it was basically the biggest, it's not me and it's not you, it's me conversation. I said, dude, you could be Henry Cavill standing in front of me naked and I would be like, Henry, put some clothes on. Like, it's that level of zero fucks given for anything sexual, etc. So my hope is that by continuing therapy, mitigating pain, getting the surgery and stuff, that will kind of start helping that area. But that is the one area that there hasn't been any improvement. I do that scale, I want to say once every 4 to 6 weeks, and my numbers have improved since we very first started, but that one area. And that is, again, it's disappointing, but it's also, again, that is probably a completely separate issue to, the depression and stuff. I think that's more about the pain, like the pain of it all. So I live I can remember being at the hospital back in January, and the doctor was like, you must have a really high pain tolerance. And I was like, yeah, I do. I said, like, we're at my 8, my 9, but most days my 8 or 9 is someone else's 11, 12. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like my scale has like, I'm never not at it. Like, I'm never lower than like a 6 or a 7, ever. Like, I don't even, that's the one time that happened was December of 2022 when I had a steroid epidural in a nerve, and it lasted a couple of hours and then my body came back online. So it was like, I haven't had a lesser amount of pain since then. Now I take medication and I do use patches, but I think there's a misconception that it takes the pain away. It doesn't. It doesn't take the pain away. It dulls the pain for sure. But even sitting here right now, my lower back is killing me and my neck feels like it's going to fall off my head. So it's like, I have to push through, because the other option isn't an option for me. Like, I don't want that to be an option for me, which is again why I sought these Spravato. So I speak to my psychologist about every 6 weeks, and he's like, it sounds like you're doing better. He's like, I can tell it when we speak that you're feeling better. I was like, I'm feeling much better. And like, again, if this is something that you feel like will work for you and your doctor says that, he or she thinks it will work for you, I say go for it. If insurance will cover it, etc., it can't hurt, right? It can't be any worse than where you are when you're at that point, because it's for medicine resistant depression, meaning that you have been on medication for depression and it's just not helping. You're not getting any better. It's not doing what it needs to do. Now, I know there's a whole lot of chitter chatter about medications, antidepressants, and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. So maybe this isn't what you want to do for you, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I was terrified that I would make a permanent decision because I didn't care about anything, including myself and whether I was here or not. And that scared me because I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I have had times where I'm just like, can I do this? Living with chronic pain and chronic illness is exhausting and isolating, and it can be very, very, very hard. We're made to feel shame because we need extra time or extra help, etc. So it can be really hard navigating this world with a chronic illness and or chronic pain. So at the end of the day, I was desperate, and my doctor thought this was the best step for me, and he was right. And like I said, I recommend it. Again, it can't hurt. Can't hurt to try. And I've gotten so many ads about ketamine treatment for depression and stuff. And it is what they give you in the hospital. And it also is used for pain, because I was talking to my neurosurgeon about it, because I was intending to have this surgery back in August. And she was like, well, we can give you ketamine for pain. We can do that while you're in the hospital. Because my concern was like, how long am I going to have to miss these dosage? Because it's, it's starting to work. Like I just started it, I think, actually, when I saw her. It might have been 6 weeks in. So yeah, so I feel like it's helped. I am still on the high dose of bupropion. I don't know that we'll switch. I mean, if something's working, don't change it, right? I am very aware of some other medications, like my immunologist just put me on a new antihistamine. I don't know what he put me on, but it is something that can affect your mood. And he was like, if you notice that your mood is being effective, let me know and we'll switch it to something else. And I said, okay. So it is something that I keep an eye on. And so yeah, so it's I feel like it's helped a lot for me. And at the end of the day, you have to do your own research and decide just what level of desperation you're at. And, don't make permanent decisions in a headspace that is when you're in a headspace that is not you. I don't know how else to say that, but yeah, I definitely feel like, and again, the American healthcare system is broken. I get that, I do. And it can be hard to get this covered, but if you're seeing a therapist, or if you have a psychiatrist, or even your general practitioner who has been, documenting how it's gone when you've gone for new medication or visits, etc., then I think there's a pretty good case, for you if you have all that documentation that says, listen, we've been trying this now for 6 years, 8 years, and this is where we are. And like I said, I feel so much better. I feel like I'm at least 60% better than where I was in March. So I feel like hopefully at a year we'll be closer to 100% better than what I was this year. And like I said, I am on maintenance dosage right now, and I've moved to every 3 weeks. So I go this Thursday. It's the 10th. That put me... That'll put me like on the 30th or the 31st. I need to do it before the new year starts. Yeah, I'll try to do it on the 30th. But anyway, so yeah. And then next year I'm going to try to do 4 weeks out. So we'll see how we do. And hopefully we'll get to a point where I go every couple of months. I will say that it will make you nauseous. So my doctor gave me a prescription for Zofran, and I take 2 before, an hour before I go. That kind of helps mitigate the nausea. Because again, if you've ever had vertigo or motion sickness or altitude sickness, I felt like it was vertigo and altitude sickness at the exact same time, where it's just kind of like that dizzy, nauseating kind of feeling. I felt that way the first few weeks, and especially on that higher dose. But once we came back down, and now I'm much better. I don't get nauseous nearly as often. So, geez. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Hopefully I explained it as much as I could. Again, I am not a doctor, and I'm not sitting here telling you that this is what you need and it's the magic pill and it's going to work for you, or even suggesting that you start it. It is something that you want to discuss with your healthcare team. You know, if you have psychiatrist, mental health, it has to be done in a doctor's office. So a doctor has to be on staff. So my place has a doctor and a nurse. So the nurse is the one who administers it. She's the one that keeps an eye on my blood pressure. That's the other thing. It's supposed to cause high blood pressure. In me, it doesn't. My blood pressure actually drops. So the side effects are just something you're going to have to decide if you're willing to try. Not try, but what's the word I'm looking for? Endure? I don't know. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but you have to decide if that's something that you want to risk. That's the word. So, but for me, the reward has more than made up for the risk and the side effects. And I come home afterwards, so I'm there for 2 hours. My husband picks me up because she can't drive afterward because it is, I don't think it's a narcotic, but it is a substance that it's a controlled substance, I guess. So he'll pick me up and I will end up taking a nap for about 3 hours in the afternoon. And then after that, I'm good to go. So yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend if you think it works for you. If you think it's a good fit, it's definitely something to try. And you have to do the brain zapping every single day, and I can't drive. And I was like, I'm not gonna make my husband drive me every single day. That's just not realistic for us. So, yeah. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully this was coherent. If it was, it's posted. So, again, I never advocate for someone to, go on a drug, etc., unless you really need it. And again, if you are at the point where you've tried different, you're doing therapy and the medicine just isn't working anymore, I think an intervention like this is helpful. And I hope that if you're someone who's tried it or you are currently trying it, that you are getting help and it's being successful for you as well. So yeah, I will keep you posted. I talk more about it in my kind of health update videos that I do. But if you guys want more kind of like check-ins with Spravato, just let me know. But yeah. So that's it. Again, leave questions down below. I'll answer what I can. I will try to leave the link to the medicine website down below as well. But yeah, good luck. Hope you're doing well. The holidays are a really hard time of year for people. So if you're someone who's struggling, be sure to reach out to a hotline, to a friend, to someone you consider to be a safe person. Remember that you are loved. Remember that there is a way out. And sometimes your feelings don't necessarily reflect reality, and that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to seek out help from someone else. Okay? All right. Hope you have a good day, night, week, wherever you are. I love your faces, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.